All right. I think we're live. I think we're live on all three. This is cool. We're on Shane D Comedy. That took about like 24 hours, so we couldn't do it yesterday. But yeah, going forward, like I said, trying to put more content on specific pages, not really flooding people with the same crap three times. Just got to get better at this thing called social media. Truth be told, I was kind of getting into it last time. I kind of avoided social media for the longest time, thought it was kind of a waste of time. Clearly, there's value to it. As you see, I'm like way too invested right now. What up, Adrian? Appreciate you freaking coming across to Shane D Comedy. Pulled kind of a Gary V on this one where I'm like getting people to like multiple pages, but it also just gives people the ability to kind of like turn off certain channels. People don't want to hear real estate constantly, so trying to kind of keep that in one world. MondeVert's going to be a lot more focused on like projects I'm working on. Stuff like that. Amini Amor is kind of my publishing. So when I actually do write stuff, poems, stories, stuff like that, even short films will probably be through Amini Amor. And then MondeVert's just going to give like big announcements like, oh, this channel's live and this channel's live. Not really the nitty gritty. What I am using MondeVert for right now as a kind of day to day is just positivity, motivational quotes. So I took that off my personal and put that there because I do think it aligns kind of with the mission of MondeVert, which is like spreading positivity, helping the earth, the environment. I think beyond just recycling and doing good for the environment, like being positive, not having as many wars, not hating people, is ultimately gonna like drive a better world. So I've said enough about it. Now, welcome to the Late Shane Show. I got this big giant, like it's like way too big, okay? And I'm sure the letters are backwards. This is everything I'm going to discuss. Got to try to find like a better way of housing it. I actually have a smaller board, so anyone who doesn't know, like I basically just have a bunch of whiteboards because in the vein of like not screwing up the environment, I don't want to just have pieces of paper that are wasted and essentially just get erased. So I'm sure expo markers are somehow like bad for the environment, but we'll get there. Yeah, my mind's been a little bit racing. Had a good day, like I said. I'm just kind of like lost in a daydream almost. Like I totally didn't get enough sleep. But what does this say? Oh, oh my God! Like this is a question for everyone. Like if you're like me, like my confidence is through the roof, but I'm still not really a player. And so like it's me getting out there, like foot in the door. I am absolutely the best, like salesman in terms of game, getting out there. That's why I'm a good wingman. Closing, terrible. I just always miss those signs. That's like, oh, they're into you. Tonight, a girl that I'm flirting with, or like the friend I was talking about, basically at first she wasn't giving me much time of day. Then I like chipped through the exterior shell because I'm not the best texter, but I kind of like got to the nitty gritty. We're having a good convo, and I'm stupidly like in that freaking mode of making a video, doing 80 cartwheels and shit, and missed all these signs that like normally I would miss because I'm smoking weed or I'm drinking or playing video games. And then I just like, oh my God, she said basically like, oh, I got bored and got some food. And right then and there, I should have been like, I'll entertain you, and would have got the invite. And I just like didn't say it. So later on, what I said was, I was like, hey, I'm confident, but sometimes I'm just dumb. I was like, if you just like laid a breadcrumb for me to like invite you somewhere, I'm like, I totally blew it. And I was just like, is that what you're like trying to do? And like, I basically reminds me of Bringing Down the House, where he's like, I've thrown the cool points out the window, whatever. Like, I'm just bare. I wear my heart on my sleeve, very transparent. It's working for me. I'm not shy by any means, which is working. And I'm just like, oh, did I miss a sign? And like, basically, without her saying yes, I was like, no, you did. Yeah. So you live and you learn. What can I do about it? Feel free to share a story in the chat. You know, during or after watching after the fact, send a message to me about a time when you missed like an obvious. I could think back to like 50 times like this. So definitely committed to doing that less and not missing golden opportunities. It helps certainly being sober. Adrian, I'm not sure if you followed along, but I actually haven't been drinking or smoking. It's something I've kind of, I just don't see it as being productive for me right now. I don't think it's something everyone has to give up. I don't even think it's a forever thing. I haven't even been going to AA or anything like that. So like, I feel weird calling it sobriety. But I am ultimately like kind of rejecting alcohol or smoking for right now. A story that I meant to say in the last one, but it's probably good I didn't anyways, keeping it in the vein of After Dark. I was looking for my little joke book. It's like a little notebook like this. I'm just going to look a little weird because it's green. But couldn't find it. I was in my car and I found a nug. And I was like, holy shit, I haven't smoked in like, thank you, I appreciate it. Yeah, especially like not smoking is weird. I have a vape. I don't think I hit it in the past 3 days. Like I hit it like once or something like that. It's a Delta 8, so it's not even like real, but don't even need that. Found a nug. Perfect like amount for a blunt. And the first instinct I had was like, let's go buy a backwood. Let's smoke this thing. Let's get it done. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, dude, like if I start smoking that again, like who knows? Like I'll just want more and more and more. And I'm like, I really just like, I like where I'm at right now. Turning 30 in a month, maybe on the 30th birthday, gonna smoke that joint or not joint. I'll smoke a blunt, right? Like, you know, I'm a backwood. But I still like, part of me is like, why even? And my dad for a while was like, oh, you're gonna drink when you're 30, right? Like, oh, people are coming down. I'm like, why do I have to drink? Like, just because I'm turning 30? Like, if anything, I'm proud of the fact that I don't drink. Always proud of my friends who are sober, who, you know, found sobriety and it changed their life. I see it as life changing, you know? So for me, I always talked about a sober year. After that year's up, who knows? But that is my goal right now, honestly. I think I'm officially claiming that this is the sober year. 2024 is the year Shane gets completely sober. Whether he goes back to it's up for debate. So went down that road way too many times talking about being sober. Feel free to drink, everyone. I'm fine being around alcohol. It's not weird for me. It's like great because everyone else just acts like an idiot. And then I'm like, my game is through the roof. I definitely feel less creepy without alcohol, which is nice. So it's actually kind of funny because you could feel creepy. Like I'm not trying to get laid. It's not like I'm trying to do one night stands, but I'm just trying to like plant the seed and be like, oh, we should go on a date later. You know, follow me on Instagram and we'll talk more. And just the confidence through the roof. So anyways, yeah, I'm just really grateful right now. I've been made a lot of like meaningful connections, kind of touch point where like I wanted to do some stuff with real estate today. And I talked to some of the clients, but it was more just on a personal level and didn't bring up, you know, buying houses and stuff like that, really. I actually did a little bit with one person, but ultimately I was like, hey, I'm just celebrating your wins because she sold a house up north. And I was like, congrats, that's awesome. And yeah, it turns out they're coming down like in a couple weeks to look at houses, which is awesome. They're looking at like $800,000 homes, which is basically like 2 months worth of income, which would be awesome. So it's just, you know, that's the wins that we want. Connecting with people's huge and not just making money. At the end of the day, I used to stress even when I had a guaranteed salary every day, like, oh, I might get fired. I make way less money than I did then, and I'm just way happier. So money does not buy happiness by any means. You certainly can't be broke and expect to be happy, but there's some people, like you look at monks, like a material world really only makes you want more materials. I think you need to set like what is enough for you. And then once you get there, be happy with it and don't like, you can get more after, but I don't think if you keep trying to get more and more and more, unfortunately it just gets harder and harder to make yourself happy. So that's from my dome, kind of what I've learned from experiences. What am I saying here? Oh, yeah, I mean, I just mentioned it before, the cringe content. I'm sorry, I apologize, and I'm also not sorry at the same time because some people like it. My followers are going up. I want to call it Instagram for sucking because TikTok's going up way faster than Instagram. So Instagram, step your shit up. Yeah, I mean, the last thing I have here is just want to be slowing down, be mindful, really present, and not really rush things as I'm like speaking like an auctioneer. So I want to keep this under 10 minutes. I got about a minute to do so. Yeah, I could go into this story that's about Richard. I'm actually going to add it to my stand-up routine. I'll give you guys a preview of the joke because he liked that joke. And then I'll kind of leave it there. There is a funny story behind it. Maybe tomorrow I can feature it if everyone kind of wants that info. But yeah, so I go, my brother likes to copy me, but then he also one-ups me. And don't you hate that? So I used to smoke weed. He smokes weed and microdoses. I used to write music. Well, he writes music and plays guitar. Now I'm flirting with a 46-year-old and he goes and bangs a 67-year-old. Man, he's talented. So I got to work on the timing there, kind of rushed it a little bit, but he did get a crack on that one. He didn't actually bang a 67-year-old, but if he was given the opportunity today, he definitely would have. So that's the baseline of that story. But I want to end it with a question, always trying to like boost engagement. And this is relative to me because like the person I'm flirting with is a little bit older, 46, just kind of out of that range of maybe like a realistic long-term relationship. it really has like it almost not a death sentence, but it has like a end date already out there. Like it just doesn't seem like it'd be possible to run with that. There is like a big chance that I want kids at some point. She already has two. I've always thought about like stepdad and whatever, but like even in the terms of being a stepdad or raising like an adopted kid, I would probably want to be there from an early on stage to have a bigger bond, not always be like the outsider. I'm not sure, right? Never say never. And I certainly am just like loving the moment, being really present. And I think there's a lesson in that. But yeah, like there's at least 4 or 5 I can think of where whether it's geologically doesn't make sense or there's like an age difference that doesn't make sense, but you just feel like really connected with these people. It's not necessarily like, oh, if I could just change this about them, like they didn't drink as much of it. Like that's a different story. I think that everyone has that and that's really common. But I just want to know, like, is there ever an instance where like, oh man, like I was soulmates with this person, but they were just 20 years too old. And it's like, if only a time machine existed or time wasn't linear, it could work out, right? Like, just curious about those types of things. I totally have a geographical one where, like, I feel like we'd be so good together, but we just never really, like, are in the same location, like, basically since high school. And even then, we were not in the same town. So, that's interesting. And then the other thing that's like a part of that is like maybe you're in different parts of your life. So you're like, oh man, I had this great girlfriend and everything was perfect, but I was a dick because of X. And like now that I'm 5 years later, it's like I think we would have went well, or just you weren't on the same page. And that's about all I'll go into that. Like definitely share that. Send a message in. If you give me permission to share it, I'd love to share some of these examples. I have some, I don't want to get too much into detail, but like there's a few that like just really close people that they've even said they're like, wow, if I was younger, I'd love you. And I'm like, I'm obsessed with the person. I'm like, oh, I feel like I'd be good with you now. But I do see how like a 20-year difference, like there's some sort of like, I don't know, Oedipus complex or mommy issues on my side that needs to be worked out. But ultimately, the confidence being gained is huge. And the lessons I'm learning with how to kind of be transparent and confident at the same time is working out great. Last thing I'll say, because I think it's still you there, Adrian. Let's link up. Let's get the podcast, the gears going. Even if it's not like a regular thing, like a once a month, whatever. I'd love to get something together. Love to hear your experiences. I think the best thing I could do to improve what I'm doing daily is to add more people and not be doing it in solo. I make a lot of videos alone, so it probably looks like I'm alone a lot of time. I'm actually like, I go to the gym with my neighbor. My dad was there with his girlfriend at the same time. I go golfing with my dad and a few other buddies. Met this girl the other day, and like there's some potential there. I do a comedy thing on Wednesdays. I have a Bible study. So I'm very much connected. I'm just not always recording other people because they don't really want cameras in their face and stuff, understandably. But yeah, I'm here ultimately for the audience. Yeah, dude, I'll give you a call on Instagram. I'll give you a nice little ring. Definitely would love to catch up. It's been too long. But I'm going to sign off for everyone else. Keep on following. Deal with my cringy content for a bit. I promise I'll get to the other side of it. The cringy stuff will probably live between comedy and personal. But maybe more of it will go towards comedy eventually. Just trying to build up those numbers. But yeah, thank you everyone for coming. Thanks for people watching later, because I know some people aren't necessarily watching at 11:49. If you do peep this tomorrow, thank you for the support. And yeah, one love, respect. Ja, man. Have a good one. Peace. Peace out, YouTube and Twitch. You get the last laugh. Yeah.